Bret Hart is a WWE legend, but I'm sure you don't know this about him. From bitter feuds to outspoken opinions, Bret Hart has never been one to shy away from controversy, both inside and outside the ring. Let's dive into the wild world of Bret Hart and all the drama he's stirred up over the years. Bret Hart was born on July 2, 1957, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, into a family that loved wrestling. He was one of 12 children of Stu and Helen Hart. His dad, Stu, was a big deal in the wrestling world, running Stampede Wrestling and training wrestlers in their home, which was famously known as the Hart Dungeon. This place was tough, and it's where Bret and his siblings learned the ropes quite literally. But how did a place so rugged shape one of wrestling's greatest legends? Well, growing up, Bret actually wasn't all that into wrestling. He was more interested in filmmaking, and even went to Mount Royal College to study it. He liked the idea of telling stories through movies, which is something he eventually brought into his wrestling style. He became known for his precise and dramatic wrestling moves, earning the nickname the Excellence of Execution. Even though he initially didn't want to be a wrestler, the pull of the ring was too strong to resist. Bret started his wrestling career in his father's promotion, Stampede Wrestling. It was there that he really began to sharpen his skills and develop his signature style. So, what made Bret finally decide to follow in his father's footsteps? The thing is, Bret Hart's early years were a mix of tough training, exploring his creative side, and slowly stepping into the wrestling world that his family was so deeply a part of. This background laid the groundwork for him to become one of the legends of wrestling. Speaking of his career, he first made waves locally in his father's Stampede Wrestling, where he not only perfected his craft, but also became a star in his own right. His hard work paid off when he caught the eye of the World Wrestling Federation, WWF, now known as WWE, and joined them in the early 1980s. But what would happen when Bret stepped onto this bigger stage? In WWF, Bret quickly made a name for himself as a skilled and charismatic performer. He started off as part of a tag team called the Hart Foundation with Jim Neidhart, who was married to his sister, making it a real family affair. They were a hit thanks to their perfect mix of technique and toughness, eventually capturing the WWF Tag Team Championships multiple times. Was this the peak for Bret, or was there more to come? As time went on, Bret's solo career began to flourish. He won his first WWF World Heavyweight Championship in 1992, which was a huge milestone. This win was just the beginning, as he would go on to win the title 5 times in total. His matches were known for their technical excellence and storytelling, and fans loved him for it. He became known as a wrestler who could be relied on for a great show, earning the respect of both fans and peers alike. Bret's appeal wasn't just his skill in the ring. It was also his persona as a hero, the good guy who played by the rules and respected the sport. This made him especially popular in Canada and abroad, contrasting with other wrestlers who often relied on villainous tactics to gain attention. He proudly represented Canada in the international wrestling scene, which only deepened his fans' loyalty. Could Bret maintain this heroic image throughout his career? Unfortunately, not everything in Bret's career went smoothly. This is when his biggest controversy started. The Montreal Screwjob is one of the most famous or infamous events in wrestling history. It happened at the 1997 Survivor Series. Bret Hart was the WWF champion and was supposed to defend his title against Shawn Michaels. But behind the scenes, there was a big disagreement between Bret and WWF owner Vince McMahon. Bret was leaving WWF for WCW and didn't want to lose the title in Canada, his home country. McMahon came up with a controversial plan to handle the situation. During the match, while Michaels had Bret in a submission hold, the referee, following McMahon's orders, ended the match suddenly, declaring Michaels the winner even though Bret hadn't actually submitted. This shocking twist took Bret and the fans by surprise and led to a huge falling out between Bret and the WWF. Feeling betrayed, Bret left WWF for WCW. The Montreal Screwjob remains a defining and contentious moment in wrestling history, showcasing the intense, behind-the-scenes politics of the sport. Not only this, Bret Hart's career has seen its fair share of strained relationships, especially with other big names in wrestling. His most famous feud is with Shawn Michaels. Their rivalry wasn't just about the Montreal Screwjob. They had personal and professional conflicts that went beyond that infamous event. Their tension was well known and often made headlines, both in and out of the ring. Bret didn't just have issues with Michaels. He has also been quite critical of Triple H and many decisions made by WWE management over the years. These criticisms often come from Bret's deep passion for wrestling and his strong opinions on how things should be done. While some people appreciate his honesty, others think it caused unnecessary conflict. His candid nature has made him a polarizing figure in the wrestling community. And just when you think his rivalries and controversies are over, he outdoes himself. Take a look at this. In recent years, Bret Hart has made some controversial comments during interviews and on social media. He's been vocal about his disapproval of the current style of professional wrestling, often criticizing certain wrestlers and their abilities. He feels that wrestling has strayed from its traditional roots, and he's not shy about expressing this opinion. These comments have sparked debates among fans and wrestlers. Some people think Bret's critiques are a necessary voice of reason, given his extensive experience in the industry. Others feel his remarks come off as bitter or out of touch, arguing that wrestling has evolved and that Bret's views are a bit outdated. No matter the differing opinions, Bret's comments keep him in the conversation and relevant in today's wrestling world. After Bret Hart's dramatic exit from the WWF and subsequent tenure in WCW, his wrestling career was abruptly cut short due to a severe concussion in 2000, forcing him into early retirement. This was a tough blow for someone who had spent nearly his entire life in the ring. But what does a wrestler do when they can no longer wrestle? Post-retirement, Bret didn't fade away from the public eye. Instead, he found new ways to engage with his passion for wrestling and his fans. He wrote a detailed autobiography titled Hitman: My Real Life in the Cartoon World of Wrestling, which became a bestseller. In this book, he shared insights into his experiences and the complexities of the wrestling world, offering fans a peek behind the curtain of professional wrestling through the eyes of one of its greatest. Bret also became an advocate for wrestler health and safety, drawing on his own experiences with injury. He spoke openly about the physical toll wrestling takes on the body and has been a vocal supporter of better medical protocols and support for wrestlers. This advocacy has made him a respected figure not just among fans, but also within the wrestling community, who see him as a champion for their well-being. Speaking of well-being, his health hasn't been the best throughout his career, and here's why we say this. On June 24, 2002, Hart had a pretty rough bike accident. He hit a pothole, went flying over the handlebars, and landed on the back of his head. It was serious. He ended up with total paralysis on his left side and had to go through months of physical therapy. Then, on February 1, 2016, Hart announced on Facebook that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer. A month later, Jim Ross shared some good news that Hart had beaten the cancer after a successful surgery, and it hadn't spread. Hart added on Facebook that even though the surgery went well, and he's hopeful he's not out of the woods yet, and will be closely monitored by his doctors every 3 months to make sure he's truly cancer-free. He has been an advocate ever since. In addition to his advocacy, Bret made occasional appearances in WWE, reconciling with the organization where he had spent so many prominent years. His return to WWE was marked by notable moments, including his induction into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2006. This event was a significant moment of closure and recognition for his contributions to the sport. Even in his personal life, Bret faced challenges, including a stroke in 2002, which he battled with the same determination he showed in the ring. He recovered significantly, proving his resilience and fighting spirit. Today, Bret Hart remains a beloved figure in wrestling, admired for his in-ring prowess and respected for his commitment to improving the sport he loves. His legacy continues to influence new generations of wrestlers and fans alike, making him a true icon in the world of professional wrestling. How does Bret's legacy reflect on the world of wrestling today? What do you think? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more such documentaries. Till then, take care.